Subaru has announced that it is leaving production facilities in the United States, closing them all up, laying off the employees, and moving to Japan. And when they were citing the reason that they were doing this, they said they were pulling out of the United States due to high production cost and moving to a more affordable option. It was actually cheaper for them to go make the cars in Japan and then ship them back to us and to Canada. So that is rough for the American economy right now. We've got a lot of layoffs this week. We heard Nike's doing layoffs this week. Coca-Cola's doing layoffs this week. Hudson's Bay, which is in Canada, did 90% layoffs. That pretty much went under. There's a lot of businesses that are really struggling with the model right now. We even heard Coca-Cola this week announce that they are going to be outsourcing their bottling production. Don't quite know what that looks like yet. But Google also announced last week that it is doing a 35% layoff of all middle managers. So you can imagine how big that is and how many folks that is going to affect. So there's going to be a lot of people applying in the workplace right now, probably a lot of very qualified people.
So Subaru is pulling its manufacturing out of the United States because of tariffs. And before you guys say, well, that's not a big deal. Well, it kind of is, because it's thousands of American jobs. What you may or may not know is that Subaru has a factory, a manufacturing facility here in the United States where they build several cars, one of which is the Outback. Now, the vast majority of their sales is the Outback, and 24% of those sales go to Canada. Well, we produce the cars that go to Canada. So basically what they're saying is that we're going to end this. We're going to move manufacturing, because we already have facilities there, to Japan, because it makes more financial sense for us to do that versus trying to deal with these tariffs, which are all over the place at any given time. In addition to that, Subaru also said that they were going to start reducing their place in the U.S. market and bring imports down to about 10%, which is going to cost, obviously, manufacturing jobs, service jobs, sales jobs, dealerships, all that kind of stuff. So kind of a big deal. Now, the last thing I'll share with you is that in addition to the Outback, Subaru was planning on starting manufacturing of the Forester in the U.S., and they've not commented on whether or not that's going to continue happening, but basically what's being alluded to is that we will probably lose the production of the Forester as well, and that might go back to Japan or Canada. As a lot of y'all know, I don't do a whole lot of content on the things that President Trump does, but when it comes to the cars, I said that I will continue keeping you guys updated on that, because I'm a car guy through and through, and that's important to me. Definitely make sure to hit that follow button if you don't already, and drop your thoughts about Subaru pulling out, moving manufacturing back to Japan over the 25% tariffs.
So due to high tariffs and tariff-infested economy in the U.S., Subaru has decided that they're closing down all their manufacturing plants here in the U.S. and moving it back to Japan. You heard it. How do we bring manufacturing back to America? High tariffs, right? Yes, how do we create more jobs? We make it impossible for manufacturing to operate in our economy, correct? Yes, so Subaru is taking it all the way back to Japan, and they will sell us the cars. That's how we improve the economy. And you remember that Hyundai plant? Yeah, that deal with South Korea will never materialize, because they're closing it down, and that's how we bring jobs in this country. And then we are screaming hate speech at a fascist's memorial service. America is great, yeah, we are great, yeah.
And sadly, look at this. We have another car manufacturer pulling out of the United States of America. It's Subaru. And look what they said. They don't want to deal with this crazy climate and tariffs. They are pulling out. They are pulling out of the United States of America. They will only leave about 10% in the United States of America. And they were going to bring more into the US, and they said likely that is not going to happen. Trump's economy is devastating America. It's only 8 months. We are going to go bankrupt. We have ruined relationships that took us 249 years to build. I want you to remember that Republicans did that Trump supporters did that.
Tariffs. More bad news, guys. Both of the Subaru manufacturing plants are moving to Japan. They're shutting down their operations in the United States and moving to Japan. They produce Subarus right here and made Subarus affordable to Americans. Now, if you guys are fans of Subarus, like I very much am, the price of Subarus are going to go up because now we're going to be purchasing vehicles that had to be imported back into the United States. It's going to go up substantially. But here's what else is going on. You've got countries like Canada who they love Subarus over there as well, but they are not importing United States Subarus because of the tariffs. They're going directly to Japan to start importing Subarus. And Subaru is meeting a global need. They're like saying, we see what's happening. People are cutting the United States out of the equation. We want to keep doing business and meet the global needs, so we're going back to Japan because we can't be messing with.
So Subaru's pulling out of the United States. They said we're done. All plans to build new plants have been canceled. They're going to leave about 10% of their production here, and they're all leaving the United States. They said the tariff war is just too much and too high of a cost for them to deal with this anymore, and they're done. So no more Subaru in the United States.
And this. The first article there I saw was for Mazda. If you didn't catch that, Mazda is no longer going to be producing for the U.S. in the U.S. And the second one is Subaru, which will be focusing more for to work for the Canadian market and Japanese market. They're not interested in the U.S. market anymore because of tariffs, directly because of tariffs. No other reason but tariffs. They're just not going to produce here anymore. Additionally, can't blame them. Americans don't have the money to buy these anymore. A lot more people having to buy used because they can't afford brand new. But the tariffs are just the final nail in the coffin for these auto manufacturers. And I know, because I've seen the responses, some people have been like, I don't care. I don't buy Subaru. I don't care. I don't buy Mazda. I don't like Mazda. But those are jobs, right? Subaru had production in Indiana, from what the article's saying. That's jobs gone. They're gone. Those are American jobs gone. So, you know, the orange man controlling things has destroyed jobs, American jobs, that are probably not going to come back. Now, we can argue back and forth about whether those automated jobs or not, but the reality is, even for a plant that's mostly automated, they still need workers in those plants. Now, there's been videos floating around showing completely automated foreign factories, but that's probably not something that's going to entirely happen here. You know, maybe not. Maybe now it will. Maybe that's what they're going to look at, is that they'll produce vehicles here, but it's going to be automated. That means no American workers. I don't know. Pardon me. I don't know how many jobs there are for Subaru here in the United States for manufacturing, but those are gone now. And same for, you know, Mazda. Any jobs that were here, those are going to be gone now. Those are destroyed. And we know historically, once auto manufacturing jobs are gone, they don't come back. That's it. Once those jobs are gone, they are gone. You know, and it's funny because it's not, I don't say this like proud. It's not a gotcha. It's not one of those things where I'm like at MAGA supporters or at Trump supporters. I'm like, look what happened. Told you guys. It's disappointing because our country keeps losing and you guys keep applauding the losses. You keep applauding the losses. And then when it's too late, you're going to be like, hey, wait, what's happening? And it's going to be too late. This is just two automakers. Who knows who's next? You know? A lot of you that don't think is a problem because these are foreign cars don't seem to realize that a lot of the parts you get for American cars come from places like Mexico. Ford is an example of that. Some of their parts are manufactured in Mexico and then shipped here. They don't make everything here. They don't make a lot. I know off the top of my head from multiple American cars that you guys think are all American, Ford, Chevy, so you think the alternators are made here. A lot of them alternators are stamped made in China or made in Mexico. So that's one part, but there's other parts that just aren't made here. We aren't manufacturing a lot of our parts anymore. They're made elsewhere and they come here. So your all-American vehicle is more than likely mostly made from foreign parts, but assembled here. Assembled in America would be a better way of looking at things, you know, a better way of seeing it, but you guys don't want to. But yeah, I mean, that's I buy Toyotas. I've had Toyotas in my life. They last a long time, better than a lot of the trucks I've seen people drive. But I know my car was assembled partially here with parts from other countries. And based on your VIN, you can kind of tell where your car was made. But anyway, that's going too far into it. But this is the cost of what's happening. And it's going to continue to get worse. More companies will leave. More companies that were doing business here will altogether pack up and leave and not come back. And this is on the heels of stories showing we're getting empty shipping containers from China. They're sending empty shipping containers with nothing in them. So this is where it starts to get even worse. And if you know someone who's a Trump supporter that wants to complain about things and they get laid off from their job at auto manufacturing, don't listen to them. Just remind them that they did this to themselves and just go along with your life. It's going to take so much for these people to even begin to realize what has happened. And I just don't have the energy anymore to feel sympathetic for them or to tell them and try to explain to them what they don't know, because they just get arrogant about it and belligerent. I don't have the energy anymore. So anyway, just be aware that this is happening. The cost on what's left is probably going to go up. Auto dealers are going to try to gouge where they can now because they're going to be losing that business. Who knows? This could have a ripple effect where Subaru dealerships and Mazda dealerships start having an issue because these vehicles aren't going to be produced here anymore. That's jobs that can be gone. I mean, this isn't the first time we've lost automakers. It fails me now who the other one is. But anyway, this is going to have a ripple effect. It will not just be to auto manufacturing plants. There will be lost jobs elsewhere as well. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. And yeah, here we are.
Brothers and sisters, something big is happening in America's auto industry, and it's not good news. Subaru, one of the most reliable and beloved car brands among US consumers, is pulling out of the United States and shutting down some of its production operations. The reason being skyrocketing production costs, driven largely by the ongoing trade tariffs pushed under the Make America Great Again or MAGA economic policies. Now, whether you drive a Subaru or not, this story affects you because it's part of a much larger problem in America's manufacturing industry. For decades, Subaru has been a quiet success story in America. Their plant in Indiana has produced models like the Outback, Ascent, and Legacy, cars known for safety, reliability, and solid resale value. It's also been one of the most efficient auto plants in the country, employing over 6,000 American workers and generating billions in local economic activity. But recently, the success has hit a wall because of tariffs. Under the MAGA trade strategy, high tariffs were placed on imported parts, including steel, aluminum, and components from Asia and Europe. These tariffs were meant to protect American jobs and encourage companies to source everything locally. But in practice, they have done the opposite for global manufacturers like Subaru, who rely on an international supply chain. When you raise the price of imported materials, the cost of building each car in the US jumps dramatically. And when those costs go up, companies are forced to make tough decisions like layoffs, relocating, or even shutting down production. According to industry analysts, tariffs on imported steel and aluminum have increased the average production cost of a vehicle in the US by $1,200 to $1,800 per car. Subaru's models, which already operate on thin profit margins, simply can't absorb those costs, especially when competing against cars made in countries without these tariffs. And here's the painful story. While these tariffs were designed to make American-made cars more competitive, they're actually pushing foreign automakers to shift production out of the US entirely. Subaru's decision isn't just about dollars. It's about survival in global market. With Japan and other nations offering cheaper production environments, fewer tariffs, and better trade incentives, it's not hard to see why Subaru decided to consolidate its manufacturing back home or in friendlier markets. The impact will ripple far beyond Subaru's workers. Local suppliers, trucking companies, and small businesses around those US plants will feel the pain. Economists estimate that for every one auto manufacturing jobs lost, 7 related jobs disappear too. This isn't just about one car brand. It's a sign of how global supply chains are reacting to isolationist trade policies. We've already seen companies like Toyota and BMW delay new US factory investments for the same reason. For consumers, expect higher prices, fewer model choices, and longer wait times for vehicles. The dream of bringing manufacturing back to America sounds patriotic, but when it collides with global economics, reality hits hard. Brothers and sisters, this is a wake-up call. Economic nationalism sounds powerful in speeches, but in practice it's hurting the very workers it promised to protect. When policies don't adapt to the realities of a global economy, factories close, jobs vanish, and families pay the price. Subaru's exit isn't just a business decision. It's a mirror reflecting America's struggle to balance pride with practicality. The question now is, will policymakers learn from it, or will more companies follow Subaru's path out of the door? Thanks for watching, and kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.